Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Boss Webinar, 25 Digital Must-Haves to Drive Traffic, Sales, and Leads, presented by Peg McDermott. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know that your lines are muted, but we certainly welcome questions, so please type them into the Q&A box, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. This session is also being recorded, and you will receive a copy of the recording via email later today. Peg McDermott is an award-winning marketing communications expert and the founder of Kogo Interactive, an innovative digital marketing firm specializing in helping small to medium-sized businesses increase revenue by leveraging today's internet technologies. Peg has gained deep marketing proficiency during her 25 years of broadcast and advertising agency experience. She is an expert in online marketing strategy and tactics, including inbound marketing, social media marketing, search engine optimization, email development, and other online communication. Peg, I will hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Kara. I'm glad to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Glad to have you all. I'm Peg McDermott. My company is Kogo Interactive, and Kogo stands for Company Grow Online, and we provide digital marketing expertise. We're headquartered here in the Washington, D.C. area, and these are some of the services that we provide, and this is my business. It's a woman-owned digital marketing agency, and we started up in 2009, so we're a little over 10 years old. These are some of the services that we provide, and you can reach my website at kogointeractive.com. These are some of the awards we've won. We're well known for our digital strategy, our web development, and search engine optimization and social media marketing. But I want to get right into why we've gathered here today, and that's to talk about why a solid web presence is important to your business. A lot of this would seem obvious, but some of it, a lot of business owners don't understand how important a solid online marketing presence is to their overall brand recognition, the amount of leads they're getting, the amount of traffic they're getting to their website, and most importantly, the digital marketing strategy that I'm talking about today helps to build that email opt-in list, and that's really where we convert leads to clients. So a lot of what I'm talking about today is about attracting and converting, closing, and nurturing those leads, and how we do that using digital marketing. As you well know, this is where our audiences are hanging out now. It is in that digital landscape, primarily Gen X and now Gen Z. And it's important to remember that this landscape is where they're used to hanging out, especially the millennials. And so they're very unforgiving when it comes to those that aren't as digitally savvy. So we need to make sure to keep that centermost in our strategy, because the millennials make up over half of our work population now. They are clients, they are co-workers, they are bosses. So it's important to understand how this landscape works. And you don't really need to worry about where to begin right now other than with a strategy, okay? I have a lot of information here. I'll wrap everything up at the end. So when you get this recording, if you're not able to sit through a lot of the detail that my time will allow to share with you today, you can go to the summary at the end of this presentation. But we do want to begin the presentation with a multi-channel strategy, and that's really what's important. There is no one silver bullet when it comes to attracting visits online and converting them into leads and then closing them to clients. They're hanging out in all of these areas right now. And so between the search engines and multimedia and Google local search engine optimization, pay-per-click, social media, these are where we want to be. And sometimes our budget and our time won't allow for it. But we want to, you can pick and choose what elements of what I'm sharing will work with your budget and your timeline. But today, most successful online marketing businesses and those using online marketing to grow their business are using a multi-channel approach. They also come up with specific goals and key performance indicators. And so that's important because after doing a lot of what I'm recommending you do, you have to have a way of measuring whether it's worked or not. Was the return on investment there for you? Did you see the conversions? Did you see an increase in your web traffic? So this is important to start with because a lot of folks don't do that, and then they call us to help rebuild a strategy. So we start with the goals and build a strategy around those business goals. So it's really important to start with goals and then determine from those goals what your KPIs or key performance indicators will be in terms of measuring success. So how we attract more visitors to the website is primarily, one of the ways is primarily search engine optimization. We need Google juice. There's no way around it. If you have a great website and you've built a beautiful website but nobody can find it, then it's a waste of time and money. So we want to be able to make sure at the onset that you're able to get found in relevant searches. And search engine optimization is broken out into on-page SEO and off-page SEO. And the on-page SEO is really all about making sure your website has the proper keywords, all the metadata that's necessary so so Google can crawl your page, crawl all the pages on your website, and determine if what you say you do is in fact what's on your website, and then that's how it determines, among other factors, how it will rank you. A really good WordPress plugin to use to help with this process is Yoast SEO plugin for WordPress. It's free. There is a paid version, but what I'm sharing with you today in terms of the on-page SEO, Yoast can help do that. Excuse me. And so with the on-page SEO checklist, we're looking at proper page titles, and this will get into what should be in the page title, your meta description, and the page address or URL itself. And this is really what that looks like. Here's your title tag or your page title, and this is the meta description. That's how it's broken out. And here is your web address. Okay, so you've got your page title, your URL, your web address. Okay, you see here, there's keywords in that address, and the keyword also shows up in the meta description. And that's what it looks like in a search. And what's also important is to remember how important local SEO is. And as you've probably seen, a lot of the ads now are at the very top of a search page, and it's followed by the local map and then the local pack here. And these are local service providers that completed their Google My Business page, which we'll get into shortly. And they're showing up here based on the keywords that were used and the location that they're in. So this is how searches are broken out now. And below this area are the organic searches. So you can see Google is looking to push a lot of the organic searches down to push their paid model. But what we want to do is really focus now, not so much on the paid, but on the organic. And this is your local organic. And this, again, is a local pack. So it shows you where on the map these businesses are located, and these are what are showing up in local search results. And a Google My Business page is free, and you can get it, pardon me, via Google, and you can just do a Google search, Google My Business page, and it will come up, and you'll be able to claim your page. And when you do that, you want to fill out as much information on that Google My Business page as you can, including your address, the services that you provide. You can post to your Google My Business page regularly if you have promotions, blog posts, photos, video. The Google My Business page is your online signal to Google that this is who you are, where you're located, and it's important that, and also all the reviews that have been gathered for you. And this is, in this example, is Backyard Bowls, and this is what their Google My Business page information looks like in a search. So many of you may already have it. If you do have it, awesome. If you have it and you haven't fully completed it yet, please go back and fill out all of the information that it allows you to fill out, because it will help you in getting found in searches. Again, another way of seeing how these local search results show up. And you'll see here, these reviews are front and center. So it's important that this be a big part of your local SEO strategy. Now, the off-page SEO is really about how are we publishing content outside of our website, including a blog, social media, any videos, articles that you're doing, any ebooks or reports, checklists, anything that you've published that can link back to your website. Those are backlinks, and those are very important in ranking as well. So we want to make sure that not only is our website properly coded with the on-page items, but you're also signaling to Google that I have all this other content outside of my website that links back to my website, and that's called off-page SEO. A big part of that is blogging, and my team blogs pretty much every week. We do try and put a blog up every week. Hopefully, if you take a look, you can subscribe to it. There's a lot of really good information on our blog, but it also helps us to develop our thought leadership, and it helps with searches. So blogging has two purposes. It helps you get found in searches, because every blog is a new page on your website, and if it's properly optimized with keywords, then you can get found in searches with blog content. And when you're blogging often enough, and consistency is key in blogging, that you want to make sure that the content you're sharing is relevant to your target audience, and that helps you to build thought leadership. So you have search and thought leadership. Those are two primary goals of blogging. And as a result of that, of hitting those goals, you develop leads from your blog. And you'll see here that the blog is very important in helping to generate leads. So for those folks that don't blog versus those that do, you can see the difference in terms of how blogs can generate leads and sales. And it's also a very powerful conversion tool. So those that are a consistent blog reader, those are the folks that are going to convert eventually into customers. So that's why a blog is so important to your off-page SEO. With social media, Google also looks at all your social media signals. And I have all these listed, and it's not to say that you have to do all these things, but you want to pick 2 or 3 channels, including a blog, that will tell Google, hey, I know what I'm talking about, and we're thought leaders in what we do, and it looks at your Facebook and any multimedia. It looks at LinkedIn and Pinterest and Twitter. It looks at all of these social signals to determine whether or not it's going to rank you. So social media is a really important factor when it comes to backlinks, thought leadership, and telling Google that you are you're an authority in your subject matter. And consistency is key. So if you're business to business, LinkedIn is very powerful. If you're business to consumer, Facebook is powerful. If you're looking to use social media as a primary communications tool only, Twitter is really powerful with that. But we as human beings like multimedia. So even with B2B or B2C, we want to integrate video and images into our content because people like it, they engage with it, they read it, and they respond to it. So it's important to have at least some multimedia in your content outreach within this social media ecosystem. And this will also show you how social media does a great job in also generating leads and sales. And this will show you some of the channels that are very effective at doing that, with the blog being one of the most effective. So this is a really important graphic to look at when you revisit this recording and see that social media develops digital buzz for your company, but it can also generate leads for you. We get leads often from our social media outreach, but it's because we do it consistently and we share content that our audience finds valuable, and we're not pitching or selling. So converting visitors to leads. The first impression that someone's going to have of your company is your website. And these are some of the markers that we want to be looking at when developing a website, redesigning a website, or just looking at your current site to say, is it doing its job for you? A website is a 24/7 marketing tool, and it needs to be updated often, and it needs to be polished and well designed with a intuitive navigation. So they're going to look to see, is this a credible business? Is it trustworthy? Can I see it on my mobile device? Does this site basically tell me what it is that it wants me to do? Okay, does it have decent content? Is everything consistent in terms of the look and feel and the color palette? You're gonna have about 5 to 7 seconds to make an impression on anyone that visits your site. They're either gonna stay on the site and maybe go a little deeper, or they're gonna move on based on any judgments they came up with. So good design is a critical factor in converting visits to prospects. The website also needs to very clearly answer who you are, what you do, and how you can help the visitor. The only reason that we go online and do any kind of search is to find out what's in it for me, what kind of problems can you solve for me. So it really is about helping your audience solve a problem. What are some of their top 5 problems right now? And what do you do to help solve those problems? You want to have that front and center on your website to keep them on the site. We also want to make sure the navigation is intuitive, that the menu buttons are clear, and that I can get to any part of your site in at least 2 clicks, not much more than that. We also want to include a site map, and the site map just basically generates an outline of what's on the website. It not only helps the visitor, but it also helps Google to crawl your site. So navigation is also important. You want to make sure that the website can be seen on all browsers. So this is a great tool right here that you can use to see how your website looks on each of these browsers. So when we develop websites, we make sure that it looks the same on every browser. And you'll be surprised how each browser can interpret a website, and it can be vastly different. So use this tool to check to make sure your site looks the same and functions properly on all these browsers. You also want to make sure that the site is mobile responsive. And you can do that by going to this tool. And if it's not any of these things, Google will penalize you. So you want to make sure you're seen on all browsers correctly, and that you're able to be seen on any kind of a mobile device. And most WordPress websites today automatically are responsive, but if you have an older platform, you may want to rethink that, because it's getting harder and harder for older websites to be found on a mobile device. The messaging on the website needs to be key as well. Will people know what you do quickly, and will they know what you want them to do pretty quickly? So the calls to action are really important. So the design, the navigation, and your message. Those three things are critical to keep someone on your site to convert. This will outline the ways in which you can create effective calls to action. This is a really good example of FreshBooks and their website. It's very clear here what the call to action is. They've got third-party credibility with their reviews and how many small businesses use their software. Their headlines are very clear. So when I get to this site, I know exactly who this site is speaking to and what kind of benefit they offer and what they want me to do. And I've gotten all that information almost immediately. This is a really good example as well. Mint does a great job of pretty much pulling all this together. It's very clear what they want me to do, and it's very clear how they can help me and who they're speaking to. So these two examples, if you are looking for reference points, these are really two very good examples of what I'm sharing with you today. You also want to, when you have a visitor on your site, have a way of capturing that information via a form that feeds into some sort of a CRM or database. These are some of the form plugins that are available to you if you have a WordPress site. And these all collect contact information. We use Contact Form 7 a lot. FormStack is also very good, but this will give you a relatively easy way to integrate this functionality on your website. It's really important to gather that information so that you can nurture the contacts down the road. So part of this too is creating content for your audience. And you want to make sure you're speaking to your audience, and whatever audience that might be. We have the older generations, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z now. And this will outline how they like to be communicated to, what they're looking for in terms of the type of communication, and how best to position your content for this audience. So this is a great slide to reference when developing content. But the bottom line is content drives engagement and leads. And again, you don't have to do all of these things, but all of these things working together, social media, video, any paid ads that you're doing, links back to your site, the search engine optimization we talked about, email, blogs, reviews, all of this feeds back to your site and helps to position the website as having engaging content. And that's what helps convert visitors to prospects. Google also loves good content, and it looks at a lot of factors that we've already reviewed, but most especially it looks at your content to make sure you do what you say you do, and the content is engaging, and it's thorough, and it is value, has a value add to your audience. So Google looks at content today as a big ranking factor. And it's not about selling. We don't want to be sold to, we want to buy. And I know when I'm on LinkedIn and I accept an invitation of someone to link up with them, and I accept it, and I immediately get a message about the services that they provide, that is the wrong way to go about it, because they don't even know me yet. They don't know what my needs are. They don't know if I'm even interested in their services. So it's important to get to know your customer and nurture that relationship. Give them what they need to solve their problems, and they will do business with you and or refer business to you. So again, it's about problem solving. So content is a big part of converting those prospects to leads, because it shows that you know what you're doing, you have the experience doing it, and you can help them solve a problem. It also helps you to earn permission to sell to them later on, and your content's going to help differentiate you from everyone else out there that says they do what you do. So how do you stand out today? Your story is unique. There's no one that can mimic the story that you bring to your website. But you want to make sure that people get it, what you do and how you can help them and how you're different. And content does that. Multimedia, as I'd mentioned, is also very important. Video is very popular right now. It's been popular and it's only going to continue to be popular and get stronger in terms of a way to communicate your message. And it's also one of the only ways to emotionally connect with your visitors. So they might see your brand, but do they have an idea of the tone of your business or your brand personality? And video helps to do that. So do images, but video really is primary in terms of engagement, shares, thought leadership, and Google loves it because Google owns YouTube, but they love ranking video. So if video isn't a part of your strategy, I would think that you'd want to rethink why. And it's not difficult to set up a video strategy within your business or hire someone to do it for you. But this is where folks are hanging out, is multimedia. So some kind of multimedia should be a part of your strategy, content strategy. So this will get into the general content types in terms of where your buyer or customer is in their journey right here. So if they're just getting to know you, blog posts, social media are really good types of content. White papers, webinars, newsletters are great to develop interest or engagement. And then you have your features list or case studies to help convert or build that desire. And then when they get closer to wanting to hire you, this is where you get more into their specific needs analysis. So this is a kind of a good overview of content types that work well for customers through this journey here. You also want to make sure that your content is shareable, and the share badge plugins on WordPress are plentiful. So on your blog posts, you want to have a share badge, and on any online content, you want to give people an opportunity to share your content. And share badges will help you do that. A lot of folks have challenges in terms of where to find content. And if you have a marketing team, they can help with that. Feedly is a great search engine that will help you aggregate content that you can share. If you are looking to see what your influencers are in your industry and what kind of content they're sharing, you can go to clear.com. And you can go to LinkedIn now. LinkedIn will give you content ideas based on the type of business that you are. And also it will show in groups what kind of content's being shared within your relevant groups. So LinkedIn groups are a really good source for finding great content ideas. The bottom line, though, is when developing the content that you're sharing online, 80% of it's informational and 20% is promotional. This is a good ratio and it's a good industry standard. So if you want to stay within these ratios when developing and sharing content. Again, people don't want to be sold to, but they will buy from you if you provide to them the kind of information that helps them. This will get into what kind of content and how often, but people, I think 3 to 5 times is probably not enough. I think people need to hear from you at least 7 times before they'll take any kind of an action. So in order to simplify this blogging or posting schedule that I'm recommending here, you can use a tool called Hootsuite. And it's a dashboard that integrates all of your social media in one dashboard, and you can share from that one source, and you can schedule all your posts. It's very helpful, and it helps to streamline your social shares. It also helps you monitor other competitors and what they're sharing and posting. So Hootsuite's a great tool to help manage and streamline your social media outreach. A lot of folks are like, there's no way I can do all this. I'm too busy. And what I would say is when you really look at this, if you can blog at least once a week, at the very minimum once every other week, and pick one of these channels and do a deep dive into just one of them. And then once you've gotten the hang of this one channel, then move on to the next channel. But you don't really need to do more than 2 plus a blog. This is also one of the best times to blog. Tuesday and Thursday between 1 and 3. We have a calendar that I'll make available to Kara that you can use. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and it will allow you to organize your content by day, week, and month. It'll also allow you to organize by keyword. So I'll make sure that she shares that with you. But turning leads into clients is really what we're about. The 2 reasons anyone hires my company is to build their brand online and to generate business. Those are the only 2 reasons we're hired. And everything that I'm sharing with you are means to that end. And what we want to do is, after we've done all this work, we want to turn these leads into clients. And the way we do that is email. Email is still a very effective marketing tool online, if it's done right. And personalization is where it's at with email. We want to personalize all of the email communication that we're sending out. So this drip, nurture leads with drip email, is basically just that. You're dripping out messages to those folks that have opted in and said, I'd like to hear more. And this helps keep you top of mind and helps to convert those leads to clients. That's why I said from the very beginning, building that opt-in list is so important. It's because of this. You also want to look at how you can best automate your marketing. And a lot of folks are using HubSpot, some use Salesforce, Pardo. There's several marketing automation tools out there that will help you to do that. And it basically puts all of what I'm sharing with you on automatic pilot. So it does take some setting up, and these are some of the platforms that are very good with regard to marketing automation. This ActiveCampaign is probably the least expensive. Infusionsoft is also very good. Marketo is good. We are a HubSpot partner, so I can attest to the efficacy of HubSpot. It's a very good platform. It can be pricey, but it has been worth it in our experience, for us and for our clients. So these are some of the marketing automation and CRM tools that you can use to organize your email list and then set it up on automatic pilot. Unfortunately, the time today won't allow me to get into too much detail around that, but if you have any specific questions after this webinar, you can certainly give us a call. And chatbots are now very important as well, and a lot of folks are using it as a customer service tool, answering customer service questions ahead of having to, these folks having to call you directly. They can use a chatbot. And we've set up many chatbots for our site, for our websites that we've designed and developed for our clients. And basically, it can be a sales tool and or a customer relations tool. So again, you want to think very strongly about using a chatbot on your site because, again, it's a 24/7 marketing tool. And Facebook Messenger is a pretty powerful chatbot, but there are a lot of very good chatbot programs out there that you can use, and they're not all that expensive. It's also important to create case studies. People love stories, and they love to know, how did this company help a business like mine? And I'm sure if you've looked at companies that you're considering hiring and they had case studies, it shows very specifically how they helped that client achieve their goals. We have case studies on our website, and some of the better agencies do, because we want to show you how we've been able to help businesses reach their goals. And this is a great way of breaking down a case study in terms of what it should include. But it's really about what was the problem, what did you advise as a solution, and then what were the results. It's pretty simple and clear, and people love them. And we want to advocate for ourselves, and what I mean by that is advocacy marketing is also very hot right now, and it's about reviews, testimonials, case studies. It's about how are you advocating for your business, and how are you using the tools out there that will help you to do that. Testimonials are still an important part of your message. And it's important to include those on your website. It's important to share those on social media. And it's also good to have your clients also post accolades about how you've done for, what kind of work you've done for them, and the success they've had as a result of working with you. So testimonials, short and powerful on your website. Try and use real names and titles and the picture of the person who's leaving the testimonial. It makes it a lot more credible. Reviews are also important. So the more positive reviews you have, the more referrals you're going to get, and the more retention you'll have with your existing clients. So reviews are very important today. I know when I make a buying decision, and I'm sure you do the same thing, we look at the customer reviews. What's it like to do business with this company? And you know, a lot of clients will ask us, we just get a review. Them to always take the high road and respond in a way that keeps the option open for discussion. So when you don't respond to a negative review, that's a response. And the first thing that people do is they'll scan the 4- and 5-star reviews, and they go directly to the 2- and 3-star reviews. And if there's no response as to how that negative review was resolved, then that tells me that the business didn't take that issue seriously, even though you might have, but that's the perception. So responding to negative reviews can actually turn a negative into a positive. It can work in your favor. So customers for reviews, ask them, send them links to your Google My Business page, send them to Yelp, or any other industry-specific reviews platform that you use. But you can basically systemize the process by using a platform, and it will basically systemize the whole thing. As long as you enter in your customer database, it will send out the emails and or texts and send out reminders, including links, asking them to review. And it sort of puts it on autopilot for you. So it's a very important and effective tool. But it also, again, good reviews, they show me what it's like to do business with your company, and it also differentiates you from your competitors. So when you go and you do a search, you've done all this work to get found in searches, and yet your competitor has several 5-star reviews and you have 0 reviews. So we have to look at it objectively, because the reviews are the tipping point. When someone finds your site in a search, the reviews are going to whether or not we want to measure as well. So we've done all this work, we've followed all these tips, and we want to make sure that what we're doing is working. And the only way to do that is to measure it. And Google Analytics is one of the best ways to do it. So we're looking at, these are the There's a lot of metrics you can follow on Google, but these are Google Analytics, but these are the important ones. And this will show you the average on most websites. So on the average, the time on site is about 2 to 3 minutes. They view about almost 5 pages of content on your site. The bounce rate is within the normal range, which is about 40 to 50% is the normal bounce range. And that means that the visitor didn't visit more than 1 page on your website, and then they moved on. That's called a bounce. You want to look at unique or new web visits and your returning web visits. And then what are some of your top landing pages? So again, these are the metrics to look at, and then these are the averages that you want to try and shoot for. This link here is a really good overview of Google Analytics and how to interpret the data. And this links right to the article on what HubSpot put together. It's very good. Whoops, not sure what just happened. I think that's what I did. I went to the ultimate guide, so now you know what it looks like. Here we go. You also want to look at not only Google Analytics, but LinkedIn has some great insights, as does Facebook. So if you are using these channels, definitely look at the insights to see what kind of follower you have, when they're hanging out, what the demographics are, what time of day they're visiting, what resonated and what didn't. This is a gold mine of information. In addition to your Google Analytics, LinkedIn and Facebook have some excellent insights and analytics themselves. So here are your 25 tips in review. It's a lot of information, and I didn't even touch on paid because I knew paid advertising because I knew we probably wouldn't have the time. But paid isn't important. Paid ads are important in terms of attracting and converting visitors. Google ads are important. Facebook ads, LinkedIn can be a little expensive, but it's very effective when it comes to promoting your blog content and your B2B posts. So I would consider looking at paid after you've put all of these other elements in place, then think about layering over some paid advertising. And start with a low budget and see how well it's working for you. But again, paid is playing a bigger part in the digital marketing landscape. So we started with strategy. We said we want to have SMART goals, and we want to pull our key performance indicators from those goals. How are we going to know if what we're doing is successful? So we want to start with a strategy. Why are we doing what we're doing, and how does it tie into our business goals? Then we want to attract the right kind of visitor by using a multi-channel strategy that I had mentioned earlier in the webinar, using on-page and off-page SEO and local SEO, and why that's important, so that you're found in relevant searches, using targeted social media. So using 1 or 2 channels where your audience hangs out, and then definitely blogging. These are ways in which you attract visitors to your website. Then when they're on the website, we want to convert them. And how do we do that? We want to make sure our website is well designed. It speaks to the who, what, and why very clearly and very on the homepage, so very early on and clearly. You want to be able to address who you are, what you do, and why it's important to your visitor. You want to make sure it's browser friendly, so make sure to test your website on all the browsers using that tool that I'd shared. Make sure it's mobile friendly. You want to have clear calls to action, and you want to create content that solves problems. So when you're creating a content, you want to be thinking all the time, does this content help my audience? Does it help them solve a problem? How will this help them? Always think of how you can help, and the business will come. Then we want to convert those leads to clients, and we want to close them, and we do that using email to a drip email campaign to nurture those leads to customers. We want to set up a CRM or customer relationship manager tool using the platforms I had recommended. Those same platforms can help you automate some of this process, can actually automate most of it, but it can at least automate your email drip marketing. You want to consider adding a chat bot to your website and developing case studies. These elements here working together help to close those leads and turn them into clients. And then we want to promote. We want to gather reviews. We want to systemize the process using Birdeye, but there are other platforms out there that you can use. We want to add testimonials, and we want to promote successes, not only yours, but to promote your client successes on social media. That helps to promote not only your company, but your client's company. And then we want to measure. So adding Google Analytics to your website is free. And if you don't have it, please add it. It will give you a lot of really good information. If you have it, then enhance it if you can using the Google Search Console, which is a complement to Google Analytics, and that just monitors the health of your website, and that's called Google Search Console. You want to review the important metrics I had shared, and then also review your social media analytics as well. So this will basically summarize everything that we talked about. I talked about primarily. And this will help you see sort of a 20,000-foot view, and I can make this PDF available to you as well. But everything that I've shared is really embodied in this graphic. You know, we want to have a strategy. We want to use these channels to help drive traffic, and then content to convert traffic, and then capture that traffic, and then turn them into a client, and then measure it. And this is what we do in terms of following up. So I know that Kara at Tab will make this recording available to you. You can certainly call me if you have any questions. This will give you a link to our website, and I would love it if you left me a recommendation on LinkedIn. And that's how you do it. And this is how you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So that's it, Kara.
Thank you so much, Peg. That was wonderful and very informative. We do have a couple of questions if you're ready.
Sure.
First question. This hammering of emails for marketing makes me not shop with a company. What percentage effect does this have on the general public?
So I think it's going to depend primarily. Email is effective, but it's effective if you use it the right way. And I hear what you're saying. A lot of the times if you're bombarded with emails, that can be a turnoff. So I recommend that our clients email at least once or twice a month. Some email once a week, but we don't recommend any more than once a week. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but there's a lot of folks that get turned off by email because it's improperly used. So you need to use it judiciously, and you set it up in a way that isn't going to cause you to lose opt-ins in your email list.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Are calls to action that are pop-ups, are those recommended or are they considered obnoxious?
That's a good question. You know, I think it depends on the user. I find it to be distracting, and but it can be useful, say if you want to use it as a reminder to have folks subscribe to your blog. And so we have a pop-up on our site that when you scroll like 3/4 of the way down the page, a pop-up will come up reminding you to subscribe to the blog. So they can be effective. A lot of companies use them. They can be annoying because they can be somewhat intrusive. But if it's done properly and the message is there that supports you helping the client, then usually it's not considered a negative. But if it's a constant pitch or sell, that becomes negative.
Excellent. Next question. What is an acceptable budget?
That's a really good question, and we're asked that a lot. There are ranges, and I'm actually going to, Kara, give you our pricing sheet, and it's not to sell my company, but it's to show you how we price our services, because everything that I've mentioned here we do. And that can get, we're pretty much in line with this market, but it's a bigger market too, so the pricing is going to be a little higher than, say, in a smaller market. But you want to spend the money on developing a really nice looking site that's intuitive and that answers all the questions and does all the things that a visitor expects it to do. So it's selling and marketing for you 24/7. And
excellent.
The minimum we look at for building a site is like $2,500, but it goes up from there. But we build strategies as well. But I think our pricing sheet that I share with you, I think that will give you a good indication of price ranges.
Excellent. Next question. What about using interns for Twitter and such?
I'm not sure of the question. Can you say it again?
What, I guess maybe, what are your thoughts on using interns to handle Twitter accounts and other social media platforms?
I don't recommend it unless you've given them very specific content and they're basically just a pair of hands for you, because they can do it very fast. They can cross-pollinate. They can cross-post very quickly because they know what they're doing when it comes to utilizing social media, but they're not as effective in coming up with the right content. So if you're going to use an intern, make sure you provide them with the content you want them to share on your behalf. Don't have them come up with it on their own. The only way you'd want to do that is to have someone on your team or you develop themes or topics that the intern can research, show you what they came up with, and then yay or nay it, and then have them post it for you. So they're good at the functionality, but not so good at coming up with the proper topics.
Interesting. Interesting. Another question. How do strategies vary from region to region and industry to industry? Consulting, for example, is different from B2B sales.
Consulting, that's a really good question. And we certainly don't have the time to answer it to the extent I would love to, but I think with B2B sales, there's a lot more account-based marketing going on, with LinkedIn being at the center of that. And that's really just focusing on one company and really marketing to the powers that be within that company. It's called account-based marketing. LinkedIn is also very good at helping to generate leads, B2B leads, and their Sales Navigator tool is excellent for that. For consulting, it's really about thought leadership and really positioning yourself as an expert in your field. And the way you do that is you develop content that solves problems, you develop case studies, you promote that content to your audience via paid ads and making sure everything is on your website. So with consulting, it's really about coming up with the right value-added content and then promoting it. And then business to consumer or retail is a whole other story. We can do a webinar on that if TAB deems it fit for the audience to consume. But I think that's a really good question in terms of how are different industries utilizing these tools in a way that helps them. And it does vary.
Interesting. Thank you. Next question. What is one thing my website should have? I guess the one absolute thing that a website should have?
Well, gosh, coming up with just one. I would say that the one thing it should have is it should answer the who, the what, and the why immediately. So however I found your site, it needs to speak to me, and that message will help me to know that I'm in the right place and that you can solve my problem. And so your message is probably the most critically important part of your web presence, followed by the look and feel of the site. And again, there's so much, it's multi-channel, there's not one magic bullet. You want to make sure the site looks great, it navigates intuitively, and it speaks to your visitor.
Excellent. I have a question, Peg.
Okay.
In your presentation, you noted that the best time for blogging was Tuesday and Thursday between 1 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
What's that based on? How do we get there? How did we determine that these are the best times?
It's research that LinkedIn provided, and it's just really where most of the engagement seems to happen, where the audience, where they seem to receive the most engagement from a blog post. Gotcha. I mean, impressions, how many people read it, shared it, subscribed. So those middle of the week, middle of the day times do well with regard to blogging. Now, there are also different times to post Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts, and those vary as well, but it's usually Tuesday through Thursday. Monday and Friday isn't a good time for either blogging or social media posts. Generally,
or work in general.
Yeah, really. Generally speaking, the middle of the week is really when you're going to have the most impressions and eyeballs.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation today, Peg. It was full of great information. We had some great questions, and I want to thank everybody again for joining us today. I'll remind you that this was recorded. We'll provide you a copy of the recording and the handouts that Peg referenced as well. You can check out all of TAB's previous BOSS webinars on demand by visiting thealternativeboard.com and clicking on webinars. And be sure to join us on November 13th for Vaughn Sigmund's presentation on why your sales team is underperforming. Thanks again to Peg and everybody, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.